So, Halko, you have been a founding member of the Hakomi method, one of the original ones, really, and it's a real treat
Yeah,
to talk to you today.
yeah,
You've been also instrumental in starting many Hakomi institutes around the globe.
hmm
And Hakomi has been a method that's been around for 40 years, and it has something special, which is about 5 principles. And I
yeah,
know that in this workshop that you're going to be teaching, you're going to be highlighting one of them, the unity
yeah,
principle. And I wonder if you can tell us a little bit more about what this principle is and why it's so important.
yeah. We came up with the principles. Maybe I'd start with that because we were thinking about the intuitive work that Ron and the others of us did, and we tried to capture all the little words, all the special angles that we have, and the ways we work, and try to cook it down to a few basic principles so that it can give people orientation. That's one of the things. And the other thing is to actually be able that people can criticize us. It can say, hey, is this really, it's not just like we're this, but they can actually request an explanation why we act in a certain way and why we think in a certain way. So we wanted to support critical thinking.
Mm. And
And the unity, yeah,
what is about unity in particular that's so important?
yeah, well, it actually pictures a basic idea about how self-organizing systems work. And we see a human being as a self-organizing living system that operates in certain ways. And there has been a research in the last century, a lot of philosophical thinking, Arthur Koestler and Gregory Bateson and Ken Wilber. But mostly what we were interested in at that point was the theory of complex adaptive systems. And we try to understand how the self-organizing whole of a human being, how it works, and to understand its mechanisms and it's the way it works. So it is very basic for everything else to understand what we're dealing with, what the system is like, what the different mechanisms and principles are that are running you and me at any given moment. And then we can see how can we go into it and how can we do something for a system. But first we have to understand how it works. And there are very practical consequences in that I would like to talk about and show in this upcoming workshop in San Francisco.
Mm. Can you give an example how unity principle is applied in the actual work? Is there like a
Yes.
snippet? Mm.
First of all, we need to understand in a very organized way that we're not one person. And the idea of a human beings made out of parts is very old, like one of Freud's big disciples, Roberto Assagioli, already had a fantastic theory about this. It's become very popular in the last few years with Dick Schwartz's work. And to understand that we're structured. We're not just, this is Manuela, this is Halko, and we're dealing with the whole of us at any given time, but we're actually looking at a system that's organized of parts, and different parts are switched on and off, and who are we dealing with, and how do we relate to this side or part of you, and how do we relate to that side or part of you, and how are they interacting, what are the principles that guide these interactions, and do we understand them? Can we come in there in a way that is nonviolent and soft and appreciative and still be very precise with what we're working at this moment and why this part and not that part? So it gives us a great overview and helps us orient in the session, where we are in the session, what is needed next, why you're relating to this or that side of the person. So it is very essential for an overview and a sense of direction and guidance in the process.
Yeah, very helpful.